We're following several breaking stories. A federal judge in Seattle just blocked President Trump's executive order, which attempted to put an end to birthright citizenship. And Yankees legend Mariano Rivera breaking his silence on that bombshell lawsuit against him and his wife. He's denying allegations of covering up the sexual abuse of a minor. And good afternoon to you. I'm Teresa Priolo. Welcome to the News Block. Let's take a live look outside. Those stories in a minute. But first, right now, we are dealing with some chilly weather. Although, Audrey, I feel like it is getting better, or maybe we're just getting used to it. I don't know.
We are getting some little improvement as we go further on through our week here, Teresa. We're still under this Arctic air mass that has encompassed much of the United States here. And temperatures right now pretty cold. We're in the 20s in many spots, although we've now hit the 30s across parts of Long Island. It sounds nice to hear 31 in Islip, and 32 is the number out in East Hampton. Now, we do have a little bit of a wind out there, and every little bit does make a difference when it's this cold outside. So our wind chills right now are mostly in the teens and even 20s across Long Island. It's feeling like 18 in Central Park, 16 in Sussex, and 14 up towards Monticello at the moment. We are storm free. We see plenty of blue skies out there. A couple of clouds are filtering that sun from time to time, but we're going to stay pretty dry. It looks like not only for the rest of today, but the next several days right through the weekend here. Temperatures will be chilly, though. We're looking for highs mostly in the upper 20s across many spots, although we're already in the 30s in Long Island. Tonight will be a chilly night, but slowly we're going to rise up the thermometer. I'll have the details coming up. Teresa?
All right, Audrey, thank you. We're following several breaking stories. A federal judge in Seattle temporarily blocking President Trump's executive order, which would do away with birthright citizenship. The restraining order was brought on by Arizona, Illinois, Oregon, and Washington. It's one of 5 lawsuits brought on by 22 states. They say the 14th Amendment guarantees citizenship to those born in the U.S. regardless of their parents' status. The judge agreed, calling the president's executive order, quote, blatantly unconstitutional. Meantime, President Trump's pledge of mass deportations is gaining momentum. Federal law enforcement and ICE agents making several arrests of undocumented migrants. Let's get right down to our newsroom. That's where we find Stephanie Bertini, who has the latest on these arrests. Steph.
Teresa, good afternoon. ICE has already made hundreds of arrests in different parts of the nation, and the enforcement continues as we continue to see President Trump move forward on the promise of mass deportations. The administration says it's focusing on criminals first, the worst of the worst. You're looking at video of an ICE raid in Boston. Although it's a sanctuary city like New York City, we're seeing federal law being enforced. During this Boston raid, several wanted people were targeted and taken into custody. While the administration says it's focusing on criminals first, federal officials also say anybody who's in the country unauthorized can be picked up by ICE and deported. And during this raid, ICE said as they picked up one person they were looking for, because he was inside an apartment with someone else they determined was also in the country and authorized, that person was also picked up. Although not wanted initially as a criminal priority. This all shows the shift under the new Trump administration and the moves toward that promise of mass deportations. New York City is bracing for similar raids. As we've been reporting, the NYPD, in an internal memo, has been reminded by the police commissioner that assisting the feds is not the job of police in our city because of laws in place, but interfering is also not something the NYPD can do. And as we're seeing, although we're in a sanctuary city, when it comes to federal immigration matters, that may not make a difference at all. Teresa.
All right, we'll see, Steph. Thank you. All right, meantime, President Trump making his first appearance at an international event since reclaiming the White House. He virtually addressed the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. The president urging global businesses to make their products in the U.S. He says if they did, they would be taxed at a lower rate. But he also said companies that are refusing to do so will be hit with tariffs. The president also called on Saudi Arabia and OPEC to lower oil prices. He says that doing so would end the war in Ukraine immediately. Breaking news from the MLB. Yankees legend Mariano Rivera breaking his silence on a lawsuit alleging that he and his wife covered up sexual abuse of a minor. The Hall of Famer now denying those allegations. Their lawyer issued a statement today saying they do not tolerate child abuse of any kind. The lawsuit alleges the abuse took place at a summer camp in Florida back in 2018. The child is a member of the Rivera's Refuge of Hope Church in New Rochelle. The makers of the painkiller OxyContin will pay billions of dollars. New York's Attorney General Letitia James announcing Purdue Pharma and the family behind it, the Sacklers, will pay $7.4 billion over their role in fueling the opioid crisis. James says the money will be used to compensate victims, treatment plans and also to fight this crisis.
The actions we are announcing today were taken to make sure that those who fuel the opioid crisis are held accountable for the destruction that they have caused.
The settlement still needs court approval. OxyContin hit the market in 1996, and since then, opioids have been linked to hundreds of thousands of deaths in the U.S. Breaking news on those South Carolina wildfires. The state legislature there just passed a $2.5 billion package to help the Los Angeles area recover. This comes as firefighters are battling the Hughes fire. That blaze broke out yesterday morning and has already burned through some 16 square miles of trash and brush, trees and brush as well. Thousands are under evacuation orders or warnings. The Hughes fire is around 40 miles from the Eaton and the Palisades fires, which have been burning for 3 weeks now. As of last night, the Hughes fire is only 14% contained.
Ashes are falling everywhere. My neighbors, they got the sprinklers going on. We water down the house. Want to make sure the family's good.
Here, I'm going to stay. I'm not going nowhere.
Okay, just be careful.
This is all I got. When the flames come over here, I'll get out of here.
President Trump is set to tour the areas that have been devastated by these wildfires in Southern California tomorrow. A teenager who killed 3 young girls in a stabbing attack at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in England has been sentenced to over 50 years behind bars. The judge said Axel Rudakabona wanted to try to carry out the mass murder of innocent, happy young girls. The suspect, who was 17 at the time of the incident, was not eligible for life without parole, but the judge said he must serve more than 51 years before being considered for parole. He was accused of killing 3 girls and wounding 8 other children in a seaside town of Southport this past summer. Well, it could be a coyote comeback. At least 2 have been spotted recently roaming through Central Park. Fox 5's Kendall Green has more on what might be behind their presence. He also spoke to some New Yorkers who have seen the creatures themselves.
These days, everything's a surprise, especially in Central Park.
After they've been spotted several times in the past couple of weeks, coyote sightings are reminding us it's not just people prowling the people's lawn.
I think 2 months ago.
2 months ago, where?
Somewhere here, they cross.
Oh, you've seen them?
Yeah, I seen them.
Photographer and naturalist Chris St. Lawrence captured this video of the pair of coyotes he spotted last week. He caught 2 on camera, one roaming on the east edge of Central Park, just feet from 5th Avenue, before it scurried back into the woods. This photo was shot and posted to X, where the user David Lay says he watched them roam freely throughout the park for about an hour. As for St. Lawrence, this was just one of several sightings in different locations over the years.
It's crazy. You know, forget just seeing them in the park, but seeing them so close to the, busy city streets and stuff.
I study them all over the city.
Chris Nagy is the director of research and education at Mianus River Gorge.
But I believe it was 2019 when the first coyote was seen in Central Park that actually kind of stayed there.
Sharing, since there's less cover on the trees in the park, sightings are much easier, more frequent this time of year. So those who spot a coyote or 2 in Central Park shouldn't be alarmed, but remain cautious. Nagy suggests those with dogs keep them on leash, since they'll be likely to try and chase them. Avoid feeding them and try not to startle them by running away, making sudden movements. And of course, keep your distance.
It may watch you. It's used to people. It has to be to live in Central Park. So it may not immediately run away, or else it'd be running away 24 hours a day.
But this park goer's dog has put a coyote or 2 on a run a few times in Central Park.
She couldn't get the coyote because they run faster than her.
She was trying to chase them?
Yeah.
Kendall Green, Fox 5 News.
Well, the Academy Award nominations are out, with Emilia Perez becoming the most nominated non-English film ever. That movie getting 13 nominations. Wicked and The Brutalist each getting 10 nods. All 3 were nominated for Best Picture, along with I'm Still Here and Nora, A Complete Unknown, The Substance, Conclave, Dune Part 2, and Nickel Boys. Well, it's more insult to injury for Giants fans. Not only is their former running back, Saquon Barkley, playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl this weekend, but he was just named one of the finalists for Most Valuable Player. The now Eagles running back ran for 2,005 yards this past season, the 8th best in NFL history. Philly is hosting the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship game on Sunday. It's a game you can see right here on Fox 5. Quarterbacks Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson are also MVP finalists. Apparently, Americans like to keep their pizza orders consistent. The Talker Research survey found that the last time the average person switched up their pizza order was over 2 years ago. Half of respondents say their order today as an adult is actually the same as it was when they were a kid. And 57% of respondents say they're open to trying new combinations. They just simply don't know where to start. The survey also found New Yorkers only reported having an average of 2.8 pizza nights in a month. That seems incredibly low. All right, one more check outside. Again, we have been talking about this really cold day that we have on tap, but it does feel like we're slowly starting to move in the right direction finally. As if we've put up with enough here, Audrey. Sending things over to you.
Every degree matters in this frigid air mass that we've been experiencing, Teresa. We've had blue skies out there today, but it's kind of misleading because when you step outdoors, it does feel really cold out there. That sunshine has been filtered with some cloud cover across parts of the area as we moved along through our Thursday. There's a front in our vicinity. It's going to stay off to the west, but it's helping to ignite a couple of snow showers around the Great Lakes. Other than that, it's relatively quiet all across the nation. We don't have any major storm systems to actually take a look at, not even minor ones. We have maybe a little bit of a rain shower activity happening right around central Florida, but that's about it. The rest of the nation is relatively quiet. And that includes here the tri-state area. We're going to see clear skies as we go through tonight, and then tomorrow we'll do it all over again. We'll start out with plenty of sunshine. We'll have some clouds filtering that sun from time to time. There'll be a couple of snowflakes flying just downwind of the Great Lakes, but we're going to be dry here across the region. And then we'll do it again on Friday. It looks like we'll stay with these frigid conditions. The temperatures will slowly rise a little bit closer to the freezing mark in many spots as we go further on, and then into the weekend we're going to move into the upper 30s, which will be a nice change for the tri-state area. We'll have some clouds rolling in on Saturday ahead of a cold front, but that'll be about it. For a period of time it'll be mostly cloudy. All right, so for today we're looking at high temperatures below the freezing mark in many spots. The exception will be out across Long Island and parts of the Jersey Shore. And then tonight we're going to drop down into the teens and single digits, so another frigid night ahead of us. The winds will be relatively light, but they will add to the chill factor, so be bundled up if you're heading out this evening. Then tomorrow it'll feel a little less harsh as we approach the freezing mark right here in Central Park. We'll have warmer numbers inland, and then we're going into the upper 30s over the weekend, and we might hit 40 as we go into Tuesday. That sounds nice, Teresa.
Never been so happy to see the freezing mark, Audrey. All right, thanks so much. That's your news block for now. I'm Teresa Priolo, and thanks for joining us. Tune into the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 and right here on Fox Local for all of the day's news as it develops. We'll see you back here tomorrow.